Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. For the parents that are in the hallway, and if you guys want to come in here, there's plenty of room behind us if you want a good seat to see the kids. So please feel free to come through. Mary, could I have roll call, please?
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here. Here. Here.
Okay, would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good.
Thank you. That was one of the best pledges we've had all year, I think. All right, we'll move on to minutes. We all should have a copy of the regular meeting minutes from March 9th in our packet if there's...
I move for approval of the March 9th, 2026 minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to approve the minutes from the March 9th regular meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Everyone at home watching us tonight. We got a packed house and looks like a bunch of young singers up front, so it sounds like we're going to be in for a treat here tonight. So thank you for joining us. There was no public comment sign up, so I will move on to the agenda. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda. If there aren't any additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to reports presented by administration. 8.1 School of the Month presentation, Washington Elementary School.
Good evening. Mr. Wilson and I are very excited to be here tonight to provide some updates on our happenings at Washington School. But before we get started, we would like to welcome our Washington Chorus along with Mrs. Ashbrook as they have a performance for all of you tonight.
All right, we're going to start with our school song. So if you know it, sing it with us.
Washington Bulldogs, let's hear a howl. Oh! Washington Bulldogs, let's hear a growl. Grr. We will work and play together. We are the school that stands forever. Washington Bulldogs, let's hear a howl. Oh! Washington Bulldogs, let's hear a growl. Grr. Stormy, fair, or sunny weather, we always are the best. Yes!
All right, we have some rappers. Sorry, we had to get situated. But anyway, this is about half of my chorus. At Washington, we have 50 students in chorus, and we meet Tuesdays after school. A mix of 4th and 5th graders. 4th graders, raise your hand. 5th graders, raise your hand. And it's a really good mix. So we meet and do lots of singing around the community, right? At basketball games, we did a hockey game. We're going to the nursing home at the end of the year. And we have Choral Festival coming. You're all invited to come, where it's May 5th. The concert is at 10:45 at the high school. And we will be singing with all of the elementary choruses at that concert. So you're welcome to come and join us there. But anyway, we are going to do a song called My Shot from the musical Hamilton. And the kids love this song. And I love it because we get to talk about history and music all at the same time. And lots of music does that, where we're doing math, music, history, science. The kids are always like, what, science? And so anyway, we're gonna put it all together, and we have 4 rappers. We have Reese, Elliot, Flynn, and Claire. So here we go.
I am not thrown away, my shot. He's gotta rise up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Yeah. I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Not throwing away my shot. Not throwing away my shot. We're gonna rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up. Time to take a shot, time to take a shot. And I am not throwing away my, not throwing away my shot.
Very, very good. We've got quite a talented group of young individuals here, I see. I said we got quite a talented group of young individuals here, I see.
Anyway, thank you for having us, and come and see one of our concerts sometime. These guys are absolutely amazing, so another round.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job, you guys.
That was not easy. Pretty impressive.
Wait, but
Yeah, that was tough.
all right, thank you very much to our Washington Bulldogs. Thank you to our parents who took the time out of the evening to bring them. All right. Well, as promised, Mr. Wilson and I are going to go through and provide some updates on our school success plan. So some of our mid-year data, which will be updated here pretty soon, along with some of our key action steps that we have completed this year. So I'll be starting us off by going over our reading goal. Our overall goal is based off of the iReady diagnostic, like I think all of the elementary schools. We are looking to increase our proficiency, our overall proficiency by 2% this spring as compared to last spring. Some of our key action steps. One would be comprehension. So comprehension strategies, when looking at our reading data, we have it broken into the different domains, which is how we can analyze it. And comprehension consistently shows up as the lowest domains. This is not necessarily just Washington. This is pretty consistent across all schools. So really trying to think about how we can increase our comprehension scores. So with that, we've really focused on some specific strategies that we've really integrated into our, I guess, school culture, if you will, this year, which I'll get to that a little bit more here in a moment. So with that, we've provided some student and family communication. So Mr. Wilson and I are consistently communicating this with our student body and, of course, our staff through weekly announcements, our Friday virtual assemblies that we have. So we're continuously promoting comprehension and how important that is as a part of our reading. Really brings it all together. We also provided some tips for families. So we had sent home a letter to our families on how they can support comprehension at home when they are reading with their children. We are also focusing on specific comprehensions during our Book Buddies time. So we have classes that meet as Book Buddies weekly, and during that time, we have them working through specific comprehension strategies when they read together. So we have older classes who are paired with younger classes, so it also puts them in that position to be leaders during that time as well. Also with our reading goal, Mr. Wilson and myself, along with the 4th and 5th grade teachers, our SLOs are connected to specifically our 4th and 5th grade students who are in that bottom quartile according to the forward exam from last year. So what we did was we looked at our forward exam data and looked at that bottom quartile of students, and those students are directly related to our SLO goals, which means we have various strategies that we're utilizing to connect with those students, whether that's through some additional goal setting, some of that's even just some pump-up conversations or talking with them about how we can support their learning at school, and then of course, we're really focusing in on that group 2 as we're looking at our interventions and how our students are responding to those interventions. We're also progress monitoring our comprehension essential standards at every grade level, which I'll get to more so in a moment. And then when looking at some of our mid-year data for iReady, this year we were at 60% of our students in the green mid-year, so early on or above grade level in that green band. Last year we were at 61%, so right about there. Of course, we'd like to see that a little bit higher mid-year, but we have done some things to be responsive to that second semester as well. So this is, there's a couple of pictures up here. The one is our reading comprehension strategies poster that we created to basically kind of streamline our communication around those comprehension strategies. Of course, as you work through different grade levels, there's some subtle differences and things that they're focusing on, but we wanted to think a little more big picture. What are some overall strategies that are just best practice when thinking about comprehension? So we worked on that with our guiding coalition. And as you can see, we've included how important it is to read actively and self-monitor as you are reading. Visualize as you are reading, so really thinking about, we even tell the kids like you're making a movie in your mind as you read. Focusing on what the main idea is or what are they learning from that piece of text that they are reading. Using context clues when they maybe get to some words that they don't understand. Summarize, so summarizing what it is that they have learned or the story that they have read. And then very tiny down there, some of our other helpful tips really focus on some of those academic behaviors, which I'll be talking more about as well. So really taking your time, that stamina for reading and making sure that, again, you're actively reading, but you're not skimming through. Oftentimes you will hear students say, especially during testing, if maybe they didn't perform as well as they thought they were going to, or even as teachers, principals, as we thought maybe they would, they might say, well, I didn't read through all of it, or I kind of, skimmed through it, I didn't read all the questions. So again, thinking about some of those academic behaviors. So as I mentioned earlier, we are tracking progress on the comprehension essential standards at each grade level. So we're doing that on our bulletin board that we have up. You can see K first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then it goes up to 100%. So what we're doing is every couple of months, all of the teachers are basically doing some formal progress monitoring to see how many students in their class are proficient in their comprehension essential standards. So we've been tracking that, and we set up some incentives for when those classes hit like 50%, and then our overall goal is 76%, which aligns with our overall goal for proficiency. All of our classes met that 50% mark, so they all earned an incentive that they had voted on. And then overall, again, each grade level band is working towards reaching that 76% proficient on their comprehension essential standards. And once they hit that point, Mr. Wilson and I will be getting a pie to her face, and we'll do a little movie day. So I think they're motivated. But so speaking of those academic behaviors, really thinking about that lack of active engagement and poor stamina when it comes to comprehension. So that's what we're really, really trying to stress, is just how important it is that you take your time while you're reading. When you come to a question, that you're going back to the text and you're actually looking for that answer. So those are some things that we've really, really been stressing with our students. And it can be challenging, especially when we are competing against technology and that constant gratification that a lot of our students are used to receiving. That stamina for taking their time and actually reading through an entire passage is really, really important. This is just a chart that shows where we at as compared to the state for our reading data. This was mid-year. So as you look through K-5, we are above the state at every level. First grade, we were a little bit closer to where the state was. So I'll get to that a little bit later too, some of how we've responded to that mid-year data and some changes that we have made with that.
Good evening. I'm going to highlight just some of the things we've done for our second goal, our math goal, and then also our school connectedness goal at Washington Elementary. So again, using that end of year, spring to spring, iReady diagnostic, last year we finished at 81%, K-5. This year we're looking to move that mark to 83, so a 2% increase. Our biggest focus this year, and this is like a staff-led initiative, is that we dialed in on an ideal math lesson. It's got about 25 components to it. It starts out with like, is my lesson objective clearly posted and identified? And then it does wrap up with that as well. Does the teacher model think alouds? Is there math dialogue discourse happening during that time? Are they using math vocabulary? So we have all these indicators, and it's a 3-2-1 scale. So we had our staff, after we completed that document in September, we had our staff take an initial survey on that. We have our baseline data. We took a mid-year data point. We showed growth in most of the areas. There's some areas that were probably didn't show quite as much growth, but we circled back to that at a few faculty meetings, and then we'll have our end of the year. And also, Ms. Jansma and I use that ideal math lesson when we go into classrooms and do an observation of a math lesson. We can actually go through the rubric that we designed together as a staff, provide feedback, and then that's the same one where it says peer observations on the screen. Our staff once a semester go in and pick either a grade level staff person or a math interventionist or another person and do an observation of them and provide feedback and kind of a dialogue and reflection on that. So really focused on what we're doing, the behaviors of the adults in the building when we provide math instruction. That's probably the biggest thing that we're doing in the area of to grow math. Also, each teacher's implemented a spiral review because obviously once you've taught it or they've had a unit on, say, geometry, they haven't mastered it. So circling back to everything that's been taught during the prior year and then exposing them to some topics that they will see later in the year as well. So a spiral review, and that seems to have helped. So our mid-year data was favorable, just a 2% increase, but last year we had some good end of the year data, so we're on track for our math goal for this year. Again, just a snapshot looking at the math iReady scores, similar to what you saw in ELA with math, comparing the state to Washington Elementary. So definitely math on the Ford exam, and probably iReady is a stronger area as a school. We need to probably do much more bolstering with ELA. Case engagement and connectedness goal. I don't know what Mrs. Fossman put together, but I think you might have some additional documents that were included. I'm not sure. She asked me for the links, but so all this, you've seen them before. We've kept data. We've done the same survey since the spring of 2021. So we have lots of longitudinal data in the area of connectedness, SEL, and then equity. And if we were to look back at the spring of 2021, Most of our values were in the low 2 range to upper 2 range. So significantly lower than where we've been the last couple of years. So we're always constantly trying to move these SEL indicators, which are, there's the empathy question, there's the how I deal with stress effectively, how do I solve conflict resolution, and then is there an adult in the school that I can talk to about important matters. So those are the areas that we're focused in. And I think, again, with the the melding of Wilson Elementary and Washington Elementary, we started the school year out with making sure they had adult connectedness, and then we've rotated that through and made sure that happened throughout the entire school year. So our numbers at mid-year, we actually met that 3.39 mark. There was a slight little dip third quarter when we surveyed, and then we'll have another survey in May with that. So, and then we also have monthly themed activities. Ms. Jansma and I announced like weekly and monthly announcements. This April is conflict resolution. So our kids are receiving lessons from Mrs. Vesey about conflict resolution. We messaged on Friday about conflict resolution. The teachers are messaging about conflict resolution, and then the teachers pull kids that have a lower perception of themselves or answer lowly. They'll have individual conversations with the students, and then also our school counselor, Ms. Vesey, pulls groups to bolster and support some of those kids. So I feel like we're pretty dialed in with a lot of the supports that we offer for the students at Washington. So that is our engagement and connectedness goal at Washington. And then I'll turn it over to Ms. Jansma.
So after looking at our mid-year data, of course, we look at how we are going to respond to it. So what are some adjustments that we are going to make for the second semester? So these were we had some discussions through our guiding coalition, but then also as an entire certified staff as well. So we took some time to really look through our data and determine, well, really they focus within even their grade level bands, like what do we need to do next, or what do we need to really focus in on. So provided some examples of some of the things that we set out to do for the second semester. So looking at adjusting tier 1 and small group, focus on high frequency words in first grade. So when I had noted that our first grade data maybe wasn't, quite as far apart from the state data, one of the things that we noted when we looked at our students who weren't scoring as high or making the growth that we would have liked to have seen within that first semester was high frequency words. So they were all pretty low in their high frequency words. So one of the things that we did was all of our first grade teachers made a point to really focus in on high frequency words for a second semester. So some extra practice with that, whether that was with them in small groups, even whole group, to go along with that. And this wasn't just for first grade, but in general, we talked about how we can maximize our TA support to help really target specific skills that students are lacking in. So some of those skill and drill practices that we can easily set up our TAs to do when they come in. Maybe here's your basket of flashcards that you're going to do of high frequency words, or it might be something with math, but really maximizing the time that we have them in the classrooms and really targeting their focus. So that's something that some of our classes have really improved upon the second semester. They've really taken to. And then, of course, we looked at our support from interventionists. So we met within our SIT teams and looked at that data and kind of determined who maybe could be exited out of intervention and who might need to be brought into that tier 3 intervention. And then for math specifically, we also discussed the spiral review for math. So that was also one of the things we had talked about at the start of the school year was everyone committing to providing some type of a spiral review during their day. It's really important even specifically for that math vocabulary. So if they've gone through one unit and they get to the next unit and our tier 1 resource doesn't spiral as frequently, they can forget some of that math vocabulary. So our grade level bands have all worked together to ensure that they are doing that consistently and on a daily basis. Okay, so we have some pictures to share with you. So one thing that we do really, really well at Washington, and I have to say this was happening before I came, so it's a compliment to Washington School, is the leadership. So really putting students in that leadership role. You can see in some of the pictures here, we have students, and Mr. Wilson, feel free to chime in too,
Really
but there's the fall cleanup.
Angle on that pile of leaves to make it look larger than it was, so to show off they did some work on that.
So they came together to do fall cleanup, which is something that I know Mr. Wilson has been doing with them for a handful of years now, but basically go around to some homes within our Washington school community and help out some folks by raking up a lot of leaves. So they were engaged in that. Can also see down in the right-hand corner a group of kids who are working like on a project that's on the floor that's actually a dog, a really, I don't know, 6 foot, maybe even taller. But we did our One School, One Book, and we read Because of Winn-Dixie. And our art teacher, Mrs. Whittier, she gets really excited about, trying to get involved with those things in the art classroom as well. So that was an all-school project of creating this ginormous dog, Winn-Dixie. And they actually did it out of newspaper scraps. It's actually really, really neat. So every grade level contributed to the giant dog. And then that day before spring break, I think Mr. Wilson had noted at one of our other meetings, his favorite day of the year is Bounce House Day. So you see a couple of pictures from that as well. You want to speak to any of these?
Just a few more leadership opportunities. So the holiday event, which we host every year, some of the kids that were actually in the choir that were singing are pictured to the left, serving cookies to adults. Some of the board members attended our first grade kind of presentation or literacy event, which was awesome. Snapped a picture of the crowd and one little gentleman to the right posing with his presentation, super excited. That was a great event. And then just the book buddies, which we had talked about before. So those are some 4th graders paired with 1st graders, and that occurs every Friday, and really work on those comprehension strategies.
Okay. And that's all we have prepared for you tonight. Do you guys have any questions for us?
I just have one question. Did you have any major issues when the Wilson school kids ended up at Washington?
Not really, no.
No?
No.
Everyone's really adjusted well. We worked with Mrs. Vesey, our school counselor, and then even myself, because obviously I had those relationships with the students from Wilson to really make sure those first couple of months of school that we were checking in with kids, and for me even checking in with staff to see how everyone was transitioning. But no, I would definitely not say there were any
That's
major
great.
issues.
Yeah.
Adjustments,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
But
And the year prior, we did some like a transition day, some PTO events were combined. I think Ms. Jansma purchased T-shirts for the kids, blue T-shirts,
Oh,
so that when
sure.
they already had some Bulldog,
Paraphernalia.
swag,
right,
paraphernalia. So yeah, the transition I think went pretty smoothly. And
That's
some of that I give some of the credit to Mark too, because some of the ideas when we talked came from him. So.
I'll just say thanks for having us. It was great to visit the school and see what you guys got going on over there. As we went through some of the classrooms, obviously the art classroom, they were working on their clay project, and just really impressed with the amount of detail that she takes and explains it step by step for those students. Just to ensure that they're successful and having a good time. So I was really happy and impressed to see that. And then just all the other classrooms, a lot of energy coming from our certified staff. It was great talking with all of our certified staff at the coffee chat. But then when we get into the classrooms, like I say, they're keeping the students engaged, and that's good to see. And to the presentation here, as far as reading is concerned, I can appreciate being proactive about sending home the the reading tips and, you know, taking that step to bring the families into, because it's my opinion that, you know, that at-home work is just as important as what's going on in that classroom. And also the same thing with the spiral review for math. I've always, you know, in talking with certified staff, I've always heard good things about that process, so I'm glad to see y'all implementing it. But I had a wonderful trip, and keep up the good work. Or visit, I should say, not trip.
Yeah, no, I agree with Nate. Thanks for having us. It was good to sit and talk with the staff and greeting the students at the door when they came in. And there's a lot of good things going on at Washington, so keep it up. You guys are doing a really great job, so.
Yeah, I also was part of that visit, and it was great. I got to greet at the kindergarten room, and there's a lot of morning energy at that door. So gave them a hard time because their foods they're collecting were tuna and oatmeal, and I was pretty sure they don't go together. But it was great to give them a hard time and see them coming in, and they, you know, right away continuing to the, contributing to that community project. But just the energy of the teachers as they came in and the students ready for the day, and just really appreciated the things we saw in the hall, like the work that was hanging up in the halls. There was a section where they had drawn the teachers, and literally I could match the teachers up, and I'm pretty sure if I tried to draw it, nobody would know who I was trying to draw. So it was pretty great. The quality of work and the pride that they take in their work was incredible.
Anyone got anything else?
Thank you. Thanks for putting the longitudinal data in there too on the SEL index. Just to remind the board, in the presentation, it's a live link, so you can go back and look at all those years and all the detail if you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, we'll move on to 8.2, high school activities and athletics winter season update. Mr. Gerber.
Winter's over. Can we call it a recap? Okay.
Yeah, that's a really hard act to follow, so I'm going to do my best here. And I did provide everyone with an updated set of notes. It's been a minute over the last couple weeks, and we're going to get a little bit more weather, so it's going to be a little bit extra coming up. So just some winter highlights here at the high school. Obviously, we just had prom over the weekend, and everything went swimmingly well. Post-prom had its highest participation rate in the last 4 years over at the YMCA. So there was a ton of kids in the pool and having a good time, and I got to thank Brittany Cashman and Jamie Dugan for spending the night with them till 1 o'clock at the Y. So I appreciate their efforts as well. John and I tapped out at about 10:30, and I'm still tired, so. We had a number of different organizations do some pretty incredible things, and you know, it's not something we take lightly because this kind of stuff doesn't happen everywhere. In the 4 years that I've been here, we've had incredible results from our clubs at this time of year as their state level competitions ramp up. So for instance, DECA, which just was at state last week, had 8 state qualifiers in a number of different items, everything from PSAs to sports marketing and whatnot. And typically our DECA programs had some pretty strong results. FCCLA, Ms. Dykstra was really excited about this when I saw her when they got back from state, and I'll just read what she put. In February, Ava Hendrickson and Aubrey Nurswick qualified to compete at the state FCSC LA conference at the Kalahari in the Dells. This week at the state conference, Aubrey achieved a gold medal in repurpose and redesign in level 3 for dress and purse made out of an old tablecloth. And Ava achieved a bronze medal and is one of the national qualifiers in the national programs in action focus on a family level 2. In other words, she's our first national qualifier in FCC LA in quite some time. So kudos to her and the work that program's doing. Our very strong FFA program continued to produce with 21 individuals qualifying to state in 7 different categories, ranging from poultry and livestock to a speech contest, forestry, and some proficiency finalists. Owen Hemling has been doing an incredible job the last couple of years. Melissa, would you like to add anything there?
Last year, extemporaneous and poultry. The drum went poultry. The drum whole play against floating. Losing last year's so.
I'll come back to you in a second. HOSA, which is another group that we've had a lot of success with the last few years. That's our medical CTSO. Had 13 state qualifiers again in roughly 7 different categories. This is an area of strength for us and is something that we see expanding each and every year, which is a good thing because those jobs and careers are certainly out there and needing. And this is an area that academically we can really create some connections with. Key Club, which is a service organization, to this point has 750 service hours total so far. Ms. Vins and Ms. White do a great job getting out in the community. In March, they attended the district conference in Sheboygan. Carter might want to talk about that later, so I'll skip that part. But doing, again, a great job. And Sally Lumens was elected the WIUM governor for the Wisconsin and Upper Michigan area. And again, I got to leave something on the bone because last time I did this, I took up their whole speech. So Carter can speak to it. Speaking of Ms. Hemling, the robotics team competed at the state championships down at Beloit College. The Robo Hackers group, which is back after a brief time away, placed 12th this year, and then BeaverBots placed 17th. And Ms. Hemling has run that organization the last couple of years and has really grown that program. So kudos to her and the work that she's doing. And she's stepping back from it. So if there's anybody in the room that would like to take over Robo Hackers next year, please find me after the meeting. Speech is going to state this week. 6 individuals are going to the speech state. And again, that will be another organization that we're going to be looking at some transition and some new leadership. As Ms. Delgadillo has indicated, this is her last year in that role. But that's another area that's been strong for us the last couple of years. Switching over to activities, bowling continues to be strong for us. This year there were 2 qualifiers. Individual, Cam Albert, who has been up to state the last couple of years, as well as Garrett Betcher, who has been up at state as well. So we've been fortunate to have them. You'll remember last year the girls' teams qualified to state. So another good run by our bowlers. And then our powerlifting team had 5 individuals qualify for the state meet, and Alex Avila actually went to the national meet down south and finished 4th in the JV 100 kilo weight class. So nice job to them. Of course, our performing arts is another real strength for our district. They held their own district state solo ensemble here in January, and they had a number of individuals qualify for the state meet once again. And thankfully, this year it's not the same time as prom, which has unfortunately fallen too many years. There are 29 soloists that will be competing at the state event, 22 duets and quartets, and 8 different groups that will be competing there as well. So hats off to our music program and everyone involved with that. Just to plug, our high school band concert's actually tomorrow night. So if you've got nothing going on and you want to stop in and see so many of our performers who are going to be at the state meet, show off their skills, come on by, 7:30 in the auditorium at the high school. And then in a week from tomorrow is a district jazz fest, which incorporates musicians from all different grade levels. So another great atmosphere there. Of course, when we get into athletics, boys basketball and girls basketball had another great year. Boys basketball won a conference championship for the first time since joining the Badger Conference, which was an awesome event. Tim Ladrin was named Coach of the Year, and E.J. Salatel, who will be going to Concordia University next year, was named Player of the Year in the Badger Conference. So congratulations to him. They had 5 all-conference winners, but more importantly, they had 8 individuals on their varsity team that received academic all-state recognition. So that's a pretty awesome thing. Of course, the girls basketball team took us on a run this year again, made it to the state tournament for the first time in a number of different years. They were runners-up in quite a dramatic game. Carter's typing like, man, you're stealing all my stuff again. Natea Donaldson and Emma Jolka both were named to the all-state list. They had 3 all-conference winners. Girls basketball does a little bit different from the other sports, so their numbers are a little lower. But more importantly, again, 12 players on their varsity team that were named academic all-state. Girls hockey, second straight year winning a conference championship and qualified for the sectional finals that we hosted here in Beaver Dam. Brenna Rhodes, Player of the Year in the conference, was named first team All-State, along with Emerson Damon, who was honorable mention All-State, and her younger sister Macy was recognized as to the Wisconsin Prep Hockey All-Freshman team this year. So bright things for her in the future. Girls wrestling had a record number of girls going out for the sport. 13 girls. We're hoping to build on that next year. Sally Lumens again was a state qualifier for the second year in a row. And then boys wrestling, Landon Grove finished out his career here as a Golden Beaver, finishing 4th place at 190 pounds. He was also first team all-conference. Last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't say that next week, Wednesday, during wind time in the auditorium, we'll be honoring 8 individuals thus far that'll be committing to participating in college athletics next year. We've turned that into a fairly big event. We're very proud that the Daily Dodge will be there broadcasting and interviewing our kids, so really keeping the spotlight on kids going to the next level, competing at the next level, and continuing to make us proud. So that's my report. I didn't put in participation data because we'll do that in the spring when I have everything, and I hope I didn't speak like the Micro Machine Man for everyone that understands that reference. Any questions from me?
Anybody got any questions?
Excellent.
Is speech a club?
Speech is a club. It was forensics, and it's been rebranded speech. When we look at across the conference, about half the schools call it speech, half the schools call it forensics.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said with all the groups and all the exciting things that those kids are doing and the success that they're having, and then trying to juggle school and grades and everything else. So, and it seems like the momentum's growing. It seems like it's getting more and more every year, which is really good to see.
We have a tremendous amount of kids that are involved in at least one thing, and that's really been since I got here, my motto with kids when we talk to them at the beginning of the year, try something, get involved with at least one thing. And as a freshman, try a bunch of things, because something might not stick, but you find one that does, and that just, makes kids feel like they belong, right? And then, from the administrative side, then we have something to hold over. We keeping accountable to grades and behavior, both at school and outside of school. So, there's that benefit as well. But we've been very fortunate with the amount of participation and the number of kids that are doing great things. And we've been fortunate that our advisors have been able to lead and get so many kids to that state level.
Anything else from Mr. Gerber?
Thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to 8.3, health and dental insurance renewals.
All right, good evening. We're going to tag team this a little bit, but I want to first introduce, we have Brianna Hellebrand from M3 Insurance here with us tonight. So she's going to talk to you a little bit later in the presentation about what she's seeing in her book of business and the market right now. So as we go through this, we'll just kind of hand it back and forth. So as the board is aware, we have previously explored some options with going out to bid for dental and medical insurance. So we're going to start with our dental insurance. We currently have Delta Dental, and you can look on the screen. We're looking at 2 different options were presented to us from Delta Dental. One was a 4.5% increase. The total is up there for what that annual increase would mean for the district and the dates as well. So that would be starting July 1st and going through June 30th of next year. Option 2 was to have a cap option, 7% increase for this year and 7% for next year. So looking at both of those options, they both have different additional options that we could play with to either bring in or remove in order to kind of adjust our rates a little bit. We've explored some of those options. Right now, we're planning on leaving it as is to just move forward with the Delta Dental renewal. Some of the things we did do while we were researching this is we requested that Delta renegotiate. We asked them, is this your best and final offer? Went back to M3. M3 requested bids from UHC, Emeritus, and Principal, and those rates are up there at 7.2%. and then MetLife at 4.6%. We have spoken with M3 about exploring some self-funded options moving forward, which we might likely talk about a little bit more next year, but for now, we're not there yet. So as we talked to the board during operations last month, we're status quo right now with Delta. So at this point, we would be recommending tonight to the board to stay with Delta Dental with a 4.5% increase, which is option 1 on that first slide, in dental care premiums for the 26-27 school year. That will bring us right into our health insurance renewal. So we'll talk a little bit about the history of our health insurance, how we got to where we are today, and what our recommendation will be moving forward. So as most of you know, we have been with Quartz, which was formerly Unity, for 9 years. So in 2017, we had prior to 2017, we had Dean. We switched over to Quartz during that time. We had several unfavorable renewals, so we partnered with M3 to see what else was out there. Quartz was selected as the new carrier, and since then, we've had pretty good renewal rates. As you can see, there was an average of 2.27% during those 9 years. We had lots of rate cap options with all of those years as well, and now those rate caps have gone away. So that's why this year was a really great year to go back out to the market and see what else was out there and explore some options. So our medical loss ratio is something that the health insurance companies use when they're determining what our rates are going to look like moving forward. So ours is currently at 102.5. They want it to be obviously less than 100. This is the highest that the district has seen in recent years. Our previous renewal last year was at 83.9. So you can just kind of see how that's about a 20-point difference from what our previous one was. The target MLR is 91 from the insurance company. So that's where we kind of want to be moving forward and what the insurance company will use as their target when they're establishing what our rate increases or decreases would look like for future years. We requested bids from a number of different companies. Anthem provided a quote. They came in 20% over our current rate. UHC came in at 40% over our current rate. We asked Group Health Cooperative to provide a quote as well, WPS, Group Health Trust, and Wisconsin Counties Association. They chose not to bid. So we are bringing 4, which we believe 3 of them are viable, of the most competitive bids to the table today for your consideration. Looking at this grid, this is very similar to what you would have seen in operations last month. But what I want to highlight on this grid, and it might be a little bit difficult for you to see on the right screen, but if you look on that left screen where it's a little bit bigger, the yellow columns where you see Quartz option 1 change, Dean change, and Dean Focus change, those are the 3 plans that we had originally had bid out. So Quartz option 1 was just our normal renewal, having everything staying the same with Quartz, keeping all of our plan premiums the same, or our plan design the same, but our premium increases. So the first section up there is our normal HMO. Then our second section is our regular POS. Then you go to the high deductible HMO and the high deductible POS. You'll see rate changes anywhere from 12 to 25.4% in that first column. And they're different by design on purpose. So the insurance companies want to guide us towards an HMO plan and away from a POS plan. And you'll see that through all of the different renewal proposals because Dean's is very similar. There's 4.9, 4.1, 5.4, and 6.1. We had a second bid from Dean called their Focus Plan, which is a very narrow network. So one of the things that we talked about is, yes, Dean Focus could save us some money moving forward. It could save our employees some money moving forward, but at what cost? So we had talked about whether or not that would be worth it to explore narrowing that network and really limiting the providers that our employees can see. And based off of a lot of the feedback that we received from the survey and conversations that we've had up here, as well as past surveys, because we did one in 23 as well, that's not an ideal option for us moving forward. So looking at Quartz, we now have 2 plans from Quartz, 2 bids. One is the option 1, that was our regular renewal. If we were to leave everything the same as we currently have with our current plans in place, which are 4. So we've got those 2 HMOs, we have the 2 POS plans. this is what the increase would look like. So it's 12.8% increase. And then on there, it looks like it's a rate cap, but it's not really a rate cap. It's more of a, if you fall in this MLR range, this is what your rate would look like moving forward. If you fall in this, it would likely look like this. But there's nothing set in stone that this is the highest that we would go. So those numbers on the bottom is our current plan. What we're paying for health insurance is just over $6 million. Our renewal came in at 6.8, which is an increase of 771. There would be no disruption in service, obviously, if we remained with our current plan, our current provider, and just main status quo, but that's quite a hefty increase. So we asked, are there other options? What if we were to change our plan design and look at a higher deductible plan? So courts did that, and they came back with option 2. So that's a 3% overall increase, 3.6%. But as you saw in the previous slide, those numbers are different based off of which plan you're on. So you'll see that on the next slide when Ryan is going to go through some of M3's spreadsheets and explain them to you. You'll see that it's different based off of what our employees select for a plan. Those copays would increase to $2,000 and $4,000 and $3,000 and $6,000 for the high deductible plan. So those are single and family rates. And in parentheses, you can see where we're currently at. So there is an increase there from $1,250 to $2,000, $2,500 to $4,000, and then on the high deductible plan from $2,000 to $3,000 or $4,000 to $6,000. Current renewal rate is right there. The renewal is 6.25 with an increase of $217,000. Again, there would be no disruption in service by remaining with courts, but the deductibles would increase.
So this slide shows the breakdown of the 4 plans for the original renewal from courts. Again, this original renewal was 12.8%, but as you can see, the HMO impact is 12%, and then the POS, the point of service impact, is 25.4%. So there's a big difference. It is important to note, out of all the employees we have on these 4 different units of the plan, we only have 16 people on the POS, which is 5 single and 11 families. So the vast majority of our employees are on the HMO plan already. Obviously, with a renewal like this, it would likely force some of those 16 individuals to move to an HMO due to the cost increase.
Do you know how many are choosing which of the 2 options on deductible? The high deductible or the low?
Yes. I'm just going to run
Okay,
up
go
here
ahead.
and look quick. So.
I have it printed here, otherwise, if you can read that.
So we have 173 are on the traditional plan, and 111 are on the HSA, the high deductible plan of the HMO. The second slide shows the original renewal from courts with the increased deductible. So this was the 3.6% increase total. Again, much higher increase on the POS plan as opposed to the HMO plan. The HMO plan with the HSA, which is the plan that the insurance companies are obviously trending toward, that'd be the high deductible HSA, HMO. That only has a 1% increase, and that does have 111 of our employees currently on that particular plan. So that's a minimal increase to the employees and the district. The HMO traditional would be approximately 4.1%, and then 15.6% and 11.8% respectively on the POS plans. And again, this one had a total district budget impact of $217,000.
So then switching gears away from courts a little bit, talking a little bit more about our Dean plans, our Dean bid. That came in at a 5% increase, and you can see there in red, that means just over $300,000 for the increase there. The disruption in service is what some of our staff would be concerned about then, because some have been established with their providers in the UW health system and want to remain there for various reasons. So you can see our hospital here in town would not be covered under Dean. UW and Meriter clinics only through the POS plan or referral. Women's health, the eye clinic, but it's got several different wellness opportunities that we would be able to tap into as well. So we did put a survey out to staff that we'll talk about a little bit more here, but here's that slide for Ryan to explain to.
And so this is that Dean renewal, which was the 5% total increase. This had no changes in the plan in terms of deductible, copay, any monetary value for the employee. However, it did have disruptions due to the fact that we were switching insurance companies and the different coverages that allowed. And again, this total impact was $305,000, less of a difference between the POS and the HMO in this particular plan. It's more evenly spread out than the courts renewals, with it being actually the highest for one of our highest used pieces with the high deductible HMO at 5.4 and 6.1 for the POS.
Employees would see a 5% increase in their premium though with that plan, correct?
I'm sorry, what's it?
Employees would see a 5% increase in their premium under that plan though.
Correct.
Because plan design increases aren't.
Correct, 5% with the Dean total to, yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the Dean Focus Plan. That is the narrow network that we had mentioned earlier that had a 7.8% decrease. So that's a cost savings to the district and to the employee. Also has a disruption in service. That disruption in service gets quite great because it's really limiting the providers, the hospitals, the clinics that our staff would be able to use, which is why we don't believe that the Dean Focus Plan is a viable option for us at this time. And if we were to choose to change providers moving forward for this next school year, we find it to be more ideal if we're going to make one change that we make one change at a time if we can afford to do that rather than two changes. So if we were to move to another carrier, limiting that network and increasing the premiums, or moving to another carrier and changing the plan design is a lot all at once. So we would like to really think about that as we're making a decision here tonight.
So for the Focus Network, as Dr. White had said, there is a savings with this one and a decrease, again, but with the plan and the disruptions, we don't feel like this would be an appropriate venue to move forward to at this time. The breakdown on that one is similar to the other ones with a higher just decrease on the point of service rather than the HMO.
Looking at the Dean HMO, this is just a list for your reference to see which clinics and hospitals there would be a disruption in service. So where you see in the second column where it says non-plan, that's your biggest disruption in service. If it says plan, it is included in the network plan. And then there's some options up there that say non-plan with agreement, prior authorization required. So those are maybes that if you were to get prior authorization from the insurance, you might be able to utilize those facilities moving forward.
So this slide is probably the most important one for our employees because it shows the monetary impact to them for the whole year. So the red columns illustrate the two plans that we would not be recommending for adoption just because they're not viable. With the court's 12.8% renewal, as you can see, significant monetary impacts on the employees for their annual premiums, and also an impact that we likely would not be able to sustain for the 26-27 budget of $770,000 increase on that premium. The Dean Focus option, as we've already discussed, just too many changes all at once. It does represent some savings for the district. It could be an option in steps moving forward, but to go to that right now would drastically reduce the network, cause a lot of disruption. Even though it does save the district a significant amount of money at this time, we would not recommend moving forward with that one either. So the two plans in green, the Dean 5% option, obviously this one has roughly averaged out 5% impact on premium for the employees, and those are the dollar amounts for the annual impact, and then the courts premium impact over the course of the year, and that's with the increased deductible. So the courts, everything on the plan stays the same except the deductible increases. That deductible increases by $750 and $1,250 for the single family for the traditional plan, and then for the high deductible plans, it increases from from 2,000, $4,000 for single family to $3,000, $6,000 for single family. So a $1,000 increase on the single deductible at the high deductible plan, $2,000 increase for the family deductible for the high deductible plan, and those would be the plans that utilize the HSA.
So in summary, where we've been, we pushed with courts for a better renewal. We've been loyal to courts for 9 years. They have profited from our business because we've had such great rates up until this point, great MLR. Hospital access is a huge sticking point for our community, especially if the hospital is going to be changing hands, which we have heard is likely. We pushed Dean for better rate caps for 27 and 28. We've obtained additional bids, which all came in unfavorable at 20 to 40% increases. We reviewed where our staff go to the doctor and also where they reside to make sure that they would have equitable access based off of their residence. We surveyed staffs. The results were mixed, not what we had hoped for. They came back probably pretty close to 50-50 with a slight lean towards staying with courts due to some families needing those UW doctors and have already been established with specialists. So many of our families that are seeking higher care are really hoping that we stay with courts. And then obviously the access to the hospital is a downfall for switching. So our goal is to be fiscally responsible while limiting the disruption for our employees, but also trying to keep things affordable for them and affordable for the district as well. So with that summary, I would like Bree to come up and talk to you a little bit about what she is seeing in the market.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Good job, team. So I'm going to provide some color commentary. I have been doing this for almost 25 years, and I feel like this has been my worst school renewal season ever. It's really been hard. A lot of double-digit increases. If you're talking to any of your other colleagues or anyone else in the schools, this market has just been very challenging. Also, given election results recently and a lot of my schools, referendums not passing, it's very hard. I know all of your challenges, so thank you for all of your good work. It's a hard job. So I know this isn't a great conversation today, but you still have wonderful options. Some of the other schools do not. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Market trend, what does that mean? What's going on in the market with medical? Trend, even from our HMO partners. So we've been lucky enough to live in what I call the bubble for a long time with the HMOs, right? With Dean, with Quartz, with GHC. So, even here in this area, it's like the Dane County effect of the HMOs. We've all enjoyed that for years. Well, I've said the bubble is really starting to burst. It's changed. It's very different than it was the last few years. And as a result, we're seeing medical trend starting at 8 to 9%. So, Nicole talked about medical loss ratio. So that's what we're paying in premium versus what the insurance carrier is paying out in claims. They would like to see us running at a 91%. And for the longest time, we have outperformed that. And as a result, you saw what we've received. We've had wonderful renewals. Right before I started working with you, we had some really rocky times, and we were with Dean, and we made the switch to quartz, and we've had some really great medical utilization. We have ticked up. We are nowhere near what, unfortunately, some of my other schools are running well into the 100s, right, for their medical loss ratio. So we're still in a good spot. But when we're already starting at an 8 to 9%, that's why you are seeing these double-digit increases from a lot of your colleagues. I think the worst renewal I received this renewal season is a 53.4%. Crippling, very hard. So I'm glad that we do have options and we have, room to move if we need to. I will say it's been a tough renewal season with Quartz in particular. So, they are a good partner. They have been wonderful to work with for our members and the UW system. They have become very conservative, meaning they have not been very aggressive on new business, and they have been handing out a lot of double-digit increases for renewal, and without a lot of negotiation. That's why you will see we certainly tried to negotiate, and the options we have are changing our plan, right? So pushing more cost on, to members in order to try to bring those rates down. There wasn't a lot of room for them, meaning courts, just to negotiate because we have run so well for so long, and we've been a long-term client and a good partner. So that piece has been a bit frustrating. Dean has been very competitive, which is great. We needed that market pressure to help us work on courts, but that comes with disruption, right? The most important thing for everybody are the 3 Ps: providers, price, and plan design. Right? So now we're kind of faced with some of those tough decisions, and that's kind of what's going on, I would say, between Quartz and Dean. So we have good options on the table. It's never an easy decision. But a few other things I want to talk about that are going on in the market, if you've heard them swirling around. So there are still group purchasing co-op models. Myself and my colleague, who is lucky enough to be retired, we put together the first school co-op in the state. That's the CISA 3 co-op. It's in the southwest portion of the state. We did open our borders to CISA 5 as well, and looking at CISA 4, but why did we do that? Because for our mid-size and smaller districts, we wanted to come together to purchase together, right? We all know what co-ops are. Our schools already co-op and work well together. Why not try that for medical insurance? It has been very successful. We have 11 across the state. That's becoming challenging as well, to keep those going and to get those competitive proposals. The reason we've done it is because for years we've been able to negotiate those rate caps and have stability for mid-sized and smaller districts that don't get that, right? You guys have been in a better spot. We always take a look at our co-ops to see if that's an option. It hasn't been. You've run really well on your own, and you've had the rate cap protection. That's something we will certainly look at moving forward, if that's an option, depending on how, the decisions we make this renewal cycle. What else is trending, just so you know what's going on out there, and you might have heard about it if, I think I maybe saw some of you at the State Ed Convention, but, if you're going to some of, those kind of events and learning more, you'll see that first alternative funding model. What is an ICRA? Well, it's pretty interesting what that is. So they're basically individual HRAs, health reimbursement arrangements. And so everybody, and this has become very popular, I would say, in some of, again, our mid-size or smaller districts, and especially for districts that are really going up really high in plan design and don't have a lot of other options. You are going to hear this kicked around a lot out there. I've been doing more education than I think I ever have before. They've been around forever. They came in to play when the Affordable Care Act started up, but it's such a huge culture change for the schools, it never really caught on, because what happens is you are going to now hand out a defined contribution. Everyone is going to get set amount of money to go find their own plans on the marketplace. Of course, you have us, we help you with that. There's a third-party administrator that helps people go through a decision-making process, but now you've taken yourselves out of it, and you are just giving the funds for people to have choice. They can go to see any, they could go to Dean, Quartz, WPS, any of the insurance carriers that have plan designs on the marketplace, they're able to utilize that. So I wanted to give you just a snapshot of that because you might hear that swirling around. Self-insurance. Ryan hates that. Self-insurance is something a lot of our schools are considering. Why is that scary? Because how you're set up financially, right? There could be cash flow issues. Now you're opening your checkbook and we're putting together a program for you. Right now with the fully insured carrier, they are taking all the risk, right? We're paying in for premiums. But with self-insurance, you have more control. We can customize and design the whole program for you. But with that, again, it's your checkbook, right? And so you're writing out checks to pay claims. It's a big shift. Again, a big culture shift for our schools, but something more of our schools are considering. And the last piece, and I won't spend a ton of time on family savings plan, but again, if you hear it out there, I want to make sure you've heard it from us. What is this and why is it taking off a little bit? So the challenge of, and especially in our schools, we're very family contract heavy, right? We offer great benefits, which is amazing, and that's in our foundation. That's our roots, right? To take care of our people, and we appreciate that. Well, for those that some districts already do like an opt-out or cash in lieu, so giving those who have other coverage the choice and money to pay them to go on to other coverage. Family savings plan is similar to that, where it's the district or the employer deciding to pay for the spouse to take their insurance, but paying their deductibles, right? So paying for the cost of that plan, and we have to work through lots of modeling around it, but saving in that regard because it's taking them off of our plan. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and if we ever want to analyze that and go down that road, I'm certainly happy to do that because there are definitely pros and cons to it, right? Whenever we shrink our risk pool and have good risk leave, and that tends to happen sometimes if we're offering programs like this, sometimes we need that balance of good and challenging risk, I would say, on our plan. That was a lot of talking. Obviously, I geek out on this, and it's important for me to let you know what's going on, but I will pause to see what your thoughts are, any questions. I'm happy to answer questions and help answer questions for any of the information that we went over tonight.
I really do understand, like, if we were to go to some plan where all of our healthy young people could go get other insurance, we would be left with a pool, and our ratio would go from 100 and what to probably 175. Because you lose the healthy people balancing the ones that are not.
It really helps to have the mix. This is the tough question all the time, especially when I get asked about opt-out or cash in lieu, whatever you want to call it. We're supposed to call it opt-out. Is because we're paying most likely good risk to leave, right? And a lot of times we have people that can stay on their parents' insurance till maybe age 26. So it's really good to have that mix to balance it out, because it is hard, because you are left with the individuals that really need the insurance, right? And those typically are, I don't want to just say high utilizers, those are people that unfortunately have some challenging situations going on. And we need a good mix for that, right, to help balance that out.
Also, like, are there any predictions of should our usage stay the same? Is there any guesses or predictions of where this is going in the future years, the increases? Because it was predicted to be big this year, and it was everywhere, not just here.
Correct. Well, and that's something to think about when we're contemplating the decision, right? So those rate caps, they are actually very important. Can I go back to that slide, just so everyone can see that? I just think it's important to talk about these. Let's see where we are. Okay, I'll talk about Dean's real quick first. So the difference between what Dean is offering and what Quartz is offering, and again, we really pushed Quartz on this. Quartz is really moving more to a model of not just giving flat rate caps. So we've been used to flat rate caps, right? It doesn't matter what our medical loss ratio is. We have those flat caps. They can't go above those in that given year. That's what they've agreed to. So Dean is still going with a flat cap. As you can see, for our same plan design, what we have now, in 2027 and 2028, they have flat rate caps of 9.9. That means they cannot exceed 9.9 for 2027 and 2028, no matter what. It doesn't matter what our medical loss ratio is. They can't give us anything above that. They can come in below that. And if we would move in that direction, I would certainly always negotiate if they come in at that cap. With Quartz, where it's a little more, back to your question, I'm not sure what they're going to do because it's dependent on the medical loss ratio. You can see if our MLR is below target, so target is 91. Had to verify that with them again. I'm like, we need the actual target. So they're saying the target is 91. So if we come in 2027, if we stay with them and come in 2027 at below target, so at 91 or below, they will give us an 8.5. Everything on theirs is tied to that MLR. So that's where that's a little different, where we'd have to see how we're running, which we do check in and have meetings on throughout the year to see where our medical loss ratio is at. But that's where, we have an idea, but I can't say for certain because we have to see how we're running with our MLR.
Do you have an estimate of just how much raising the deductible will reduce that MLR?
It doesn't
significantly move the number?
They're not tied. Your claims are your claims, unfortunately. I know. So the motivation of making that change is trying to curb some of that cost. It's
Sure.
also for people, hopefully, to make other decisions and think about it if they're taking on more of that cost. Hopefully that would change some behaviors. But there are some people, unfortunately, it's those high-cost claimants, they don't have any choices, right? They have to get that care, and that care is costly. That, and then specialty prescription drugs are also driving a lot of the cost. So in that regard, there's not a lot that can happen there.
Okay, thank you.
In this regard right here, if you go with option 2, and so 2027, depending on where the MLR comes in, it's either 8.5% or that's the cap. Is it also, so then, let's say it comes in below the target, so we're getting, let's say, 8.5% in 2027. If it comes in below again in 2028, it's another 8.5%?
Yes. Yes, correct. Yeah, so yes, you're reading it correctly. But if we're above, it could be 12.9.
And then what's the deal if the MLR between target and 100%? Right now, we're at 102, so should there be an option C that says that we're, is that if it comes in above 100%, then what's the case? Then it's even higher?
You're going to get higher than that, and there's no cap in place. Yeah.
If we take that option this year, can we get rid of them next year if we so choose? We're not locked into them for more than 1 year? 1 year?
Correct.
Okay.
And that was something I would talk about too. Of course, we would pay attention to that, and, our recommendation wouldn't be to go to RFP every year, but we can certainly do that, given how the market's been changing. So if we need to look at this again, we will certainly do that.
And right now, if this hospital changes in town, do we know that courts will still cover it as it is covered right now, or is if it changes names or changes whatever the term is?
Yep.
Do we know if it's going to be an in-network, if you will, provider?
It's a great question, and that was something that I was going to touch on, so thank you for bringing it up. We don't know. We're constantly monitoring it, and there have been so many changes in the market with, ownership, right, and business decisions on, who's going to work with what hospital, and they're constantly reevaluating their networks. And so is Dean. All the HMOs are. So that doesn't mean that it couldn't change where maybe Dean would expand their network. We're always talking to them to try to get that update, but a lot of times we're not privy to that information with, you know, NDAs and everything else going on at the higher levels with contracting. When they're trying to get these things done, you know, we'll get some heads up on it, but it definitely is something that's a change and that we'll have to keep evaluating.
Well, it's likely if it changes soon, it'll be UW, which is in the network.
Is Quartz, right?
Courts, yeah.
Correct.
It's not public yet.
You don't know, though. Yep, but most likely, I know.
So it would stay network
It's the Quartz Network, not Dean.
in the courts network?
Yeah.
If it happens. Yeah.
So just so everyone knows, UW owns Quartz.
I appreciate you bringing up the ICRA, because that is something that's kind of a trend recently. I do insurance also, where if the premiums do keep going up at the large rate, that might be really a viable way to budget.
Correct.
So I
Yes.
appreciate the
Of course.
information getting it out there.
So the question I have is, although, you know, we're attempting to look for an option where the increase right now is not that great, I question, wouldn't Anthem or United Healthcare be able to provide you many more significant options in being able to source whatever care you wanted, wherever you wanted to go? You're not gonna be designated to certain hospitals or eliminated from certain hospitals, but that would allow the flexibility for our members to be able to choose wherever they'd like to go. But it would come at an increased cost right now. Did they also provide percentages for rate caps for 27 and 28 in the event that we would take on the extra 20%, like let's say to go to Anthem, and then that allows a ton of flexibility? Did they give rate caps for the upcoming years in that case too, or not?
They did not. They have a very hard time competing in this market still. So I just mentioned how UW owns Quartz. Anthem and some of the other national and even statewide, so even when we look at a WPS or we look at Wisconsin Counties Association Group Health Trust, they rent. They pay more to rent those networks. Granted, it's a big network, but they're paying more for that. So when you go directly to a Quartz or to a Dean, so Medica owns Dean, as does SSM. It's a 55-45 ownership, and then UW is owning Quartz. Because they still get better pricing, an Anthem, a WPS, you saw, it's basically a decline to quote. So there are no rate caps, you know, they won't provide that because they just can't compete still.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great question, and you know, I wish we had access to the bigger networks. They haven't been, they still, even with the bubble bursting, as I started talking about, the other larger carriers still haven't been able to really break into this market yet, but stay tuned.
Yeah, because if we
Everything's
could get
changing.
one of those larger ones with a 20% increase, but then their rate cap or something would be significantly lower or next to nothing for the other years, it would kind of be a wash.
I will also say it's tougher with those. Rate caps are starting to be a thing of the past, unfortunately, because while they're great and we have really benefited, a lot of the carriers are like, it also puts us behind. We've run well, so we haven't cost the insurance company that much, but for the groups that have not been running as well with their medical loss ratio and are getting 5% and 6% rate caps, that puts them behind on premium, thus these big increases. So even though we enjoyed the years of the caps in those years, we're feeling the pain of it later on. And you will see that too, definitely in Dane County with some of the larger districts. So it is tough, and that's why with those national carriers, a lot of times they won't even put a cap out there anymore. No caps, not even tied to MLR. So, yeah, insurance is fun.
Are you also seeing a trend towards the higher deductibles?
You know, it's interesting. We have been for a long time, but the issue is too, is that so many people have gone up the line in the deductible, you can only go so far. Then what happens? So a trend that I have been seeing a little bit, not a lot, but a bit, has been for my schools that truly have that HDHP, so that qualified high deductible health plan. That's what we have, right? One of our plans, and that's tied with the HSA. I have seen people put copays on the back end. So after you've met that deductible, then you can have more cost share. You can enter copays, can come into the plan again. And that's what they've done to try to eat into some of their high renewals. So if I already have a group, I'll give you an example. I have a school that has a 4,000, 8,000. And I was just there last week for their board meeting. They were contemplating, a 510, a 714, and instead of doing that, they kept the deductible the same, but then added some copays on the back end to try to bring those renewals down. So it's
So is there an out-of-pocket max then?
There is.
That ends somewhere,
For
right?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an out-of-pocket max, so you'll just see it increase to cover those copays.
Okay.
Where are we at with deductibles in comparison to your book of business for school districts?
You are very competitive and better. I would say you're still, even if you went up the line and what's been proposed with courts, you are still in line. You guys have always been a little unique. I remember when I first started working with you, and we've always had the two plan designs. I see Marge nodding. You remember the meetings, that, we've kept that traditional copay plan, but then also had that choice with that high deductible health plan. I still have a lot of districts that just have one plan. You guys are bigger. So some of my, mid-sized and smaller districts, have just the one plan. And with that, they've gone up in the deductible. So I would say everyone's still in the 2 to 4 to probably 4 to 8 range around here. Of course, I don't count Dane County because they're different. But for the most part, outside of that, you guys are definitely in line. You still have a wonderful program with really competitive rates. You are in a much better spot no matter what you end up doing tonight or when you make your decision, than a lot of the other districts, so I'm very happy for that. That answers it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bree, can I just ask a question a little bit? So, I mean, I know we're in this reserved market right now, right? Not very hungry. And I think that's likely to be the case for maybe a couple of years. But what's the market memory? In other words, and maybe you can't predict this, but when we made the shift, there was almost a sentiment that that who we had been with before, you kind of start to feel like you're getting taken advantage of in a relationship, right? Not that that's ever happened, but now we're with.
What are we talking about, Mark?
We've been with courts. They've been a great partner for us, for our staff. If we don't make this shift, does that market memory impact the prospective competitive nature of another possible provider because we haven't made that shift, even though they keep putting their name in the hat? Does that make sense?
I know exactly what you're saying, and that used to be a thing too. All of that has changed. So if we decide to stay with courts, and if we need to go to market again next year, and will there be competition? Will Dean be competitive again? I'm sure they will. You guys are a very important district for them. They really were as competitive, as they can be and wanted to be, and it will be very important to them next year again, if you don't make the change this year.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bree? Okay, that moves us to our recommendation for the board. So at this time, we are recommending, based on staff survey results and further conversation with individual employees as well as at the district level, that we're recommending staying with courts but moving to the higher deductible plan with a 3.6% overall premium increase. And Ryan wants to talk to you just a minute about what that could look like.
Okay.
So currently with our HSA plans, the district pays a portion of that deductible. So right now, the district pays $500 toward a single plan and $1,000 for a family plan, and that goes into your HSA account. The employees can also contribute money into that account to offset their deductible. That money's all pre-taxed. it can be invested in that account and earn interest pre-tax. And then when it's withdrawn to be used for medical expenses, it's also tax-free. So it's a triple tax-free option. So it's a really useful tool. The HSA plan it's beneficial to a lot of people, but it's especially beneficial to younger people. And like Bree was saying, those younger people typically have better medical loss ratios. The HSA typically allows them to build up an account to be used for the deductible in the future. So as they get older and tend to have more medical health stuff going on, they have that deductible. So it kind of compounds and has that snowball effect into being a really, really good tool for both the district and the employees. But what we would recommend if we do decide to go to courts with this higher deductible plan is increasing that $1,000 contribution to the HSA for families and $500 to the HSA for singles to $1,500 for families and $750 for singles, which would be about a 50% increase on that HSA contribution. The cost impact to the district would be $57,000. With today's numbers, that being said, I do anticipate a slight increase in the HSA from the higher percentage increase on the POS plan, but roughly today, $57,000. This year, the district paid $114,000 for that contribution across all funds and $75,000 across just the general operating fund. So add roughly 50 grand to that. And that still puts us at below my budgeted 5% increase for the health insurance total package for next year. Come October, when we present and adopt a new budget, I think we could look at that again and see, can we do more? Can we go to doubling that HSA contribution for this year? Can we do a little more based on how that budget falls? There's just too many unknowns to commit to that at this time, but I do think that we should and could take a look at that in October or November, again, for that HSA contribution. But we would ask that if we do move forward with this, we do the additional 50% and commit to that as well.
What is the maximum contribution a person can have per year in their HSA? It's linked to their deductible.
So for a family HSA in 2026, you can contribute up to $85.50, but that includes any employer contribution. So like if the district gave you $1,000, you could do $7,550.
Okay.
So
4,400 for an individual.
Do we do withholding out of paychecks for that, or is that they have to direct?
yes, we do. You can
can
take
do
it all out. There's different investment with mutual fund opportunities. There's a lot of really cool options. We work with HSA Bank through M3. Bree kind of coordinates that, but from a tax perspective, it's really a good thing.
And there's staff education for that to help them understand that HSA and how it works?
We have some. We have it through our website, but Nicole or Caitlin or I would be happy to talk to anybody about that as well.
Because it can be a powerful, like you said, investment for a young person to make.
Yes.
Pre-tax.
Yes.
Any other questions for anyone?
And that would just be, that increased contribution would just be for year one, that commitment too.
You said what? What was
That increased HSA contribution would just be for this initial transition year. And that we could reevaluate in the future, but that otherwise that it would potentially go back to that 1,500 that we've always traditionally had.
Okay. Just the wording on this recommendation, moving to the higher deductible plan was still the 2 tiers, but the higher deductible level for both of those.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify in the wording so we get that right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the work you, Nicole, have done, and you as well as in a partnership, and it makes me feel a lot better if we can add a little bit more to that for our employees and our staff. So it makes me feel a little better.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, just to clarify, we're requesting the board provide motions on both the dental
Yeah,
as
we
well,
need
correct?
separate
Separate
motions
motions
for,
on each.
for dental and medical. If you have any other questions, let us know now. Otherwise, I can flip it back to the previous slide if you need it.
Everyone good?
I just need to find the right.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion then for
Dental first?
dental and one motion for dental and then one motion for the medical side of things.
I move that we stay with dental with a 4.5% increase, option 1, and dental healthcare premiums for the 26-27 school year.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mary, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion on the medical portion of it.
Make a motion that we stay with courts, continuing with our same tiers, but moving to the higher deductible plan with a 3.6% overall premium increase, and for this year, increased HSA contributions of 750 individual and 1,500 family.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mary, could I have a roll call, please? Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for coming out, Bree, appreciate that.
All right, we'll move on to 8.4, consideration and potential action regarding the receipt of a donation of a portion of real property located at 1041 South Spring Street, Beaver Dam, Wisconsin.
All right. So the district has been offered a donation from WHW Investments LLC, owned by Adam and Nicole White. This donation consists of approximately 1,125 square feet of the 1041 South Spring Street WHW investment property that's adjacent to the new middle school property. The donated parcel totaling the 1,125 square feet is contiguous to the new middle school property. Acquisition of this land will support a more seamless transition from Spring Street to the school facility. It'll help enhance ADA accessibility, and it will reduce the need for retaining walls. Additionally, the inclusion of this parcel will provide increased flexibility in site design and infrastructure planning. So the proposed donation exceeds a value of $1,000, and in accordance with Board Policy 7230, it requires board approval. In recognition of this donation, the district would plan to acknowledge it through the contribution, would acknowledge the contribution with campus trailway signs either on the sign or adjacent to one on the trails at the new middle school site.
Any questions for Ryan?
We talked about this in the trailer at the committee, at the meeting, at the construction trailer when we were at the meeting and looked at, I just want to acknowledge, this is a really generous donation, and not only is the land is generous, but the opportunities it affords the school district to have that piece of land is huge, and I really appreciate the generosity of the gift.
Yeah, I do too. You know, WH Investments and Adam and Nicole White and family have been really strong supporters of our district for many years, as long as I've been on the board, and it's been quite a long time. So I really do thank both entities for doing this for us, and it is greatly appreciated, for sure.
I make a motion that we accept the gift as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the gift from WHW Investments LLC, owned by Adam and Nicole White. Mary, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll proceed with the next legal and administrative steps to make sure we incorporate the parcel properly onto the district campus.
All right, we'll move on to reports presented by the Board of Education. 9.1 Student Rep Report. Carter and Dayanara.
They've been waiting patiently.
He's still recovering from all that insurance talk.
I'm thankful you guys know what they were saying because I.
A lot of us didn't know everything either.
So, as we transition out of winter and into a busy spring season, student activities and events across the district have really picked up. Starting with our clubs and activities, our robotics teams has been actively competing and recently participated in a robotics showcase. This gave students a chance to demonstrate their work, collaborate with others, and highlight the innovation happening within our STEM programs.
Our HOSA, or Future Health Professionals chapter, also has had a very strong year. Students just recently, I believe this past week, competed at the state level competition, and we're especially proud to recognize Twilight Heinzen for qualifying for nationals for her event. This is a significant accomplishment and a great reflection of the opportunities that we have available to our students in healthcare careers. Additionally, FFA has been competing in their state competition, which will continue into next weekend, and we wish good luck to all competing.
Moving into athletics, spring sports are officially underway. Baseball, softball, soccer, boys golf, and track and field teams have begun their seasons, and there's been a lot of excitement around the start of competition. Additionally, there have been updates to the girls softball field, which is a great improvement for our girl athletes and program moving forward. In performing arts, auditions were recently held for the upcoming summer musical, which I believe is called Bright Star. There was strong student interest, and it's exciting to see continued engagement in the arts as preparations begin for the production. Also, the high school band concert is scheduled for tomorrow night, and we encourage the community to support the hard work of the students performing.
For some more general updates, Dayanara and I had the really cool opportunity to be involved in the Hall of Fame discussion and voting process recently. And yeah, we attended the committee meeting, and it was really cool to be able to speak with some of the community members and other board members and help cast the vote for our Hall of Fame inductees. And we'd like to congratulate the winners of this year as well. Also, prom was just this Saturday, and we had approximately 230 to 240 students in attendance, which is consistent with last year's turnout, which is super cool. The event was a great success and continues to be one of the most anticipated traditions for our juniors throughout the school year, and we'd like to thank the prom committee for their hard work in the preparation of the event.
Academically, the pre-ACT and forward testings are currently wrapping up. Students have been working hard, and we appreciate the efforts of both them and staff in completing these important assessments. Finally, our last parent-teacher conferences of the school year will take place on April 16th, providing one more opportunity for families to connect with teachers and support student success as we approach the end of the year.
Overall, it's been a very active and positive start to our spring season with strong participation and accomplishments in academics, activities, and athletics. Thank you, and if anyone has any questions, we're free to answer them.
Any questions?
Nice job.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carter and Dayanara. All right, we'll move on to 9.2 Operations Committee, referendum project monthly update.
Right, I don't know if John and Joanne have anything,
Ryan should probably just go.
anything that you've talked about in reference to the referendum projects?
We'll let Ryan take the lead and we'll fill in on any of the weaknesses.
Okay.
All right, so at the middle school, they're currently excavating for the column pads. They're backfilling at the completed foundation walls. They are doing site and soil maintenance work and installing culverts and storm sewer components. The concrete formwork and placing rebar for the column pads is currently underway, and waterproofing foundation walls is underway. Underground plumbing and electrical is being done, and will continue with farther excavation over the coming weeks. Masonry stairwalls have been started, and structural steel, the building will start to move up here the week of May 4th. So that's when the steel's being delivered prior to then, and then they'll start putting it up. At Washington, the new staff lounge is mostly complete with finished drywall, painted walls and doors, ductwork and mechanical pipe installed, and rough electrical installed. In the next 2 weeks, they're planning on working on the ACT grid, the MEP installs, and the cabinets being installed. Summer planning work and timeline work is also being done at Washington to coordinate contractor, how they're going to move through that building with some asbestos removal. So coordinating that is being done and finalized so we can hit the ground running right away in June. For the district-wide projects, there's the final landscaping is underway. It will continue throughout April and May when weather permits. Obviously, we've had a significant amount of rain in the last 2 weeks, so that does push some of that back. But the landscaper has been on site a couple times and will continue to be throughout the next month and a half. Lincoln and Prairie View site bids go out on Friday, so those will go out. I believe it's about a 2-week window. We'll have those back. We'll accept the winning bids, and that work will start as soon as the students are done for the summer. And for the financing update, in March, we approved the Phase 2 borrowing. Those funds did come into the district on Monday, April 6th. Approximately about $25 million of those funds were invested into CDs last week. I call them long-term CDs. They're 3 to 9 month CDs, to get a more consistent interest rate that's not variable. And those will come due strategically based on our cash flow that I develop with C.G. Schmidt over the next year. The rest of the money is in a liquid fund with a variable interest rate. Right now, that interest rate is outperforming most of the CDs that we had, but it can change. So locking up a portion of that money is beneficial to the district. So we do anticipate the vast majority of those funds being spent within the next 18 months. The most updated project mill rate impact for the referendum continues to be 99 cents. And again, before the referendum vote, the district said the mill rate would not exceed $1.20. We're well below that and likely will not exceed $1. So that's very positive news. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ryan?
No.
Anyone want to add, Joanne?
I don't want to, not from our meeting, but I really want to say I can, John, Mary, were you at Washington? I can't. We really got to see the people moving into these new spaces and really using these spaces well, and it's really exciting as we start to see the little things completed and the areas they're still working on. So really well done, and it's an exciting time. So looking forward to the future.
All I gotta say is I hope all this rain doesn't slow us down too much. The first batch we got kind of
Slow them down.
affected a little bit of at the middle school site, but this next batch that we're getting now,
I-
it doesn't have too big of an impact.
I think they're pushing through. I haven't heard of any significant delays at the new middle school site
Nice.
because due to rain.
Yeah, just a couple things. Thank you, Ryan. It sounds like we've got about 10 to 12 community members working each day on our projects, which is wonderful. That number will only increase as the activity of the projects increases, so that's outstanding. And then the furniture process, so fixtures, furnishing, and equipment is a huge part of any project, especially large-scale projects. So that furniture process actually has already begun, but really starts to ramp up a little bit here in the coming months. And a lot needs to go into that to make sure we've got good feedback and we land on quality products that are well warranted. And Ryan's putting together a great team. I know many of us are a part of that, and that's a really key and important piece of that. And Joanne's been invited because she sees what things actually look like better than I do. Thank you, Joanne.
I see them in color, too.
And just a reminder that the monthly update that's produced here is on our website, so people can go and if they can't come and pick one up here, they can check that out and have some information as to what's happening. So thanks to everybody involved.
Okay. We'll move on to 9.3, teaching and learning.
Teaching and learning did not meet, but we have our next committee meeting in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks from today? On the 27th.
All right, thank you. All right, move on to 9.4, board engagement and recognitions. I'll start out with the board. Is there anyone want to? I guess I can start. I want to thank Maria for her time
Thank you.
and dedication to the district and to this board. You're going to be missed, and I wish you the best of luck in whatever future endeavors you decide to move forward to. And who knows, maybe we might see you back here at this table at some point in time, or maybe see you at another table at some point in time. So again, thank you very much. It was good working with you and developed a friendship. And if it wasn't for our duties here, there's a lot of us probably at this table, probably our paths probably never would have crossed. So I'm glad my path crossed with yours. So thank you.
Thank you. A couple of things. A number of us attended the first grade literacy event, and it was just awesome. The little people were so proud of showing us their projects, and the way that their art went with their writing and their creativity and their passion for their favorite animals. So I really enjoyed the time. Realized I might need hearing aids, or they talk really quiet. And then I wanted to thank, off of Ryan's report, the number of advisors we have in the district that make all of those great clubs possible. I'm sure you guys feel that way working with your advisors at school too, but without them, it wouldn't be possible to have all these great programs going. And I know a few of them, and they are so passionate about their work with their kids and the pride that they really feel when their kids do well and try hard. They share with me every time I see them. So thanks to them for helping make all of that work possible.
Anyone else got anything?
I had attended the wellness committee. I'm on that committee, and those ladies over there, we don't have any men who are really at the wellness committee. They're welcome to join that, whatever. But they've been working on deciding to have a hike and pickleball tournaments and book clubs. There's all kinds of opportunities out there for many different people. So I appreciate that committee. They're working hard and getting the word out to people to do things. So
I also attended the literacy event at Washington, and I agree with everyone's comments. Really well done. Glad that was brought over from Wilson. That's a fun event. The students are very proud, but appreciate all the staff involved in that too. And the school tour over at Washington, again, appreciate the good work that's going on there. It was nice to be in some classrooms and see the work happening there. And then I was also able to attend the robotics event. And wow. They really do amazing things. I can see why they've done so well in their competitions. So thank you to the advisors of that as well, all the staff involved with that.
I participated in the reality day last Friday that juniors go to get the eye-opening experience of what life really costs. Probably the first and last time they'll ever write a check. But Rich Dahl and I manned the insurance table, and I had some conversations. I recognize some of the kids because I have a kid here. Try to talk to them. They asked for some advice. Some of them did, so that was good. But we had a blast. It was busy, and I would do it again next year. Absolutely.
Fun.
I did want to do recognition that the chamber has their awards, leadership awards, on Wednesday. And we have one of our teachers who has won something, Mr. Lefebvre. And we have 3 Beaver Dam alum, Spencer Butterbrodt, Max Ludke, and then my son, Tommy, emerging leaders. So I just think it's really great that, the kids, they stay here, they participate in the community. We have a lot of leaders, so It's good.
I didn't have too busy of a month, just the Washington Coffee Chat, which was wonderful. I made a new little friend. We were standing there, a little guy came walking by. I think it's the same little guy that was in the picture with his gift, but he came walking by and we had our own little handshake.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I kind of messed it up the first time, then we did it again, we got it right, and he went walking away and he was really happy and I was really happy, and I think we're buddies now, so. And then shout out to the kids in the kitchen. We had scones. You know, scones they can be hit and miss. They can be a little dry sometimes, but the key is the ingredients. Like, you gotta load them up with the good stuff. And I had a chocolate chip one, and it was loaded with chocolate chips, mini chocolate chips, and so they knocked it out of the park, and that was really good. So big shout out to those kiddos.
Anyone have anything else?
I'll just add one real quickly. So parents, community members, and staff, I want to thank them for all the feedback regarding our key accountability areas and KPIs. We have several thousand different points of feedback to work through, well over 1,000 different people engaged, whether it was through surveys or individually. So that's really going to help guide the work that's taking place right now, and the board's going to have an opportunity to engage with different themes, targets, and prospective actions associated with our efforts during their workshop in May. Don't worry, you won't have to read through 1,000 different things individually, but I know Ike will want to see them. So we're going to work through that together, and it's just a lot of really good feedback and some really clear alignment on certain themes and conversation that'll help us set the stage and have a really awesome, I think, summer and launch into next year. So that only comes through their feedback, so thank you.
Okay, all right. We're all set there. We'll move on to 10.1.
I move the board recess into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to discuss specific employees, employee groups, and negotiation strategy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to move into closed session. Mary, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay. We're back in open session. We'll move on to item 12, district policy and guidelines, 12.1, resignations and retirements.
There are 2 resignations for your consideration tonight.
I move the board approve the resignations as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the resignations and retirements as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
There's 1 leave of absence for your consideration tonight.
I move the board approve the leave of absence as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the leave of absence as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We have 3 appointments for your consideration. The first one is Bobby Jo Helgamo as a long-term sub from May 1st through June 8th for science teacher at the high school. The second one is Catherine O'Hara for principal at our high school starting next school year. And the last one is Erica Vosters for school nurse for the district starting next school year.
I move the board approve the appointments as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the appointments as presented. Mary, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Yes? Yes.
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 Okay, we'll move on to 12.4. Preliminary notice of non-renewal under Wisconsin statute 118.22.
There is 1 preliminary notice of non-renewal under Wisconsin State Statute 118.22 for Emily Kaditz as discussed in closed session.
I move the board approve the preliminary notice of non-renewal as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 12.5, renewal of teacher contracts, 2026-2027.
Renewal of teacher contracts is a statutory requirement that we do every year. At this time, I'm asking for your approval, granting the administration the authority to issue teacher contracts to current certified staff for the 26-27 school year. With your approval, we will then issue teacher contracts no later than May 15th, and teachers must return them signed no later than June 15th.
I move the board approve the renewal of teacher contracts for the 2026-2027 school year as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the renewal of the teacher contracts for 2026-2027. Mary, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes? Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, move on to 12.6, board policy updates, final reading.
This is the second and final reading for the spring slate of policy updates. The board was presented with these policies in March and have had an opportunity to review them. These policy updates represent revisions, additions, and rescindment designed to ensure alignment with recent state legislation, strengthen governance practices, and enhance student safety and learning. Several updates were required for compliance or updated in connection with new Wisconsin law, including changes related to student supervision and welfare, instruction and intervention, personal communication device use, and child abuse reporting requirements. This slate of updates also introduces new policies that improve financial transparency and accountability, particularly around fundraising, crowdfunding, and student activity accounts. Additional revisions clarifying expectations for board governance, modernizing policies related to technology, including digital accessibility and responsible use of artificial intelligence. Operational updates address modes of personal student transportation, vehicle use, and identification cards that support safety and consistency across the district, basically making sure we're not using social numbers. These updates also provide clarity regarding school support organizations and employment-related policies to reflect current practices and legal requirements. These changes reflect compliance and transparency focused on student success and well-being. I am recommending approval of the board policy updates, which include 2 new policies, 2 rescinded policies, 4 replacements, and 22 revisions.
I move we approve the policy changes as recommended by Neola.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the board policy updates as recommended by Neola. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 13.1, payment of claims.
I move for payment of claims in the amount of $12,354,065.57.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the payment of claims. Mary, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.